Hey there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever thought something fiendish was hiding behind a cup of Swiss Miss, you're in the right place.
Literally no one has ever thought that, Justin.
I'm Justin, and I would love to go back to Samaria and see those ancient days.
I'm Nico, and what's Strigoi on here?
Oh, well, I'm Dan, and I recently watched Dragonheart again. That's a good movie.
Does it hold up?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you can definitely tell, like, clearly CG and stuff, but I thought it worked.
Golden Seal or nah?
Maybe not, but probably pretty close.
Okay.
All right. Well, we are back once again to conjure up more folkloric frights for you, dear listener. That's
Ooh.
right. This is the episode where we bring you some myths that you may or may not know from around the world. We'll start with Dan. Dan, what country/region are you covering today? What have you got for us?
Well, I'm covering the Switzerland region.
Incredible.
Switzerland, as opposed to, a different one.
Correct.
And, there's actually a ton of different folklore and things that are really common in pop culture and fantasy settings. There's a lot of like dragons and dwarfs and fairies, giants, gnomes, kobolds, more,
Hell yeah.
But I found one that I thought was kind of interesting. It's called the wurm.
Oh shit.
It's most commonly described as a lizard or snake-like creature that's 5 to 7 feet long, has 2 front legs but no hind legs. It's covered in scales, and it has a cat-like face.
Meow.
Now, it's said to be very poisonous, as poison breath and even acidic blood. So don't get any of that blood on you, like aliens, And the first sighting, I believe, was in 1779 by a man named Hans Fuchs.
Oh, Fuchs, no.
Oh,
He ain't fuchsing around.
nope, he sure wasn't, because he was walking in the mountains and he saw 2 of them, and he said, "Fuchs that," and he ran. He ran home to tell his family. Fortunately, he made it in time to tell his family, but then he promptly died of a heart attack.
Oh,
Wow.
hey, yo, what? He had a delayed heart attack? Are you kidding?
Yep. So
How
that's
fucked
that.
up is that?
Now, these have also been spotted many times throughout the years. Most recently, I believe in 2009, there were a bunch of sightings in Italy,
nice.
actually, because they kind of like in the Alps, sort of, so it kind of crosses, a couple different countries. Those sightings were chalked up to be a few escaped monitor lizards, but who knows?
How did the monitor lizards get up a fucking mountain?
Nobody was monitoring them.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess clearly you're not wrong.
Well, all right. Dan, is that your full briefing on this cryptid, this monster?
That's the full file.
And can you give me the name one more time? How is that spelled and what is it again?
It's a tatzelworm. I believe I'm saying that right, which is TATZELWURM.
Where are we on the umlaut status?
Actually, I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's on the U.
So
don't
Tatzelwurm something? I probably just
Tatzelwurm?
butchered
butchered that.
There is no umlaut on it.
Oh shit. All right.
Yeah, Swiss speak French, not German, Nico. Come on.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, the umlaut only ever appears in German, nowhere else.
There are different names. One is like stolen worm or stolworm, which means tunnel worm or dragon of the mine tunnels.
Ayo. Dragon of the Mine Tunnels goes hard.
Yeah.
Next fucking track from Windrose or something, but yeah.
In Austria, it could also be called the Bergstutz, which means mountain stump. That one goes pretty hard.
Hey, yo, girl. I'm going to give you the Bergstutz.
It's an escaped monitor lizard! So, Nico, given this perilous description given to us by Comrade Dan,
Yo, if someone ever described my dick as a monitor lizard in sincerity, I don't know how I would react.
well, does it? Never mind. Because, anyways, we're just gonna ghost past that, and we're gonna ask here, Nico. Given the description given to us by Comrade Dan, what do you think of this creature? And are you scared of it? Where's it rank for you on the fear factor?
So it's like a long lizard, a long amputee lizard
Yep.
with a little feline face.
Yep.
Nah, bro, I feel like you could just pick that up by the end and just like slang it around.
Wait, how big is it, Dan? How big is it again?
Like 5 to 7 feet.
Is it like a thick boy or is it like long and thin?
Yeah, it can be thick. It's a mountain stump after all.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Well then, I guess I'm not gonna go shot put a mountain stump. Jesus. In terms of scare factor, cause like maybe it's just me, but I'm picturing more of like a comically fluffy kitten face instead of like a panther or something.
Mhm.
Like, where are we on the like scale of cats? Like, are we Mr. Schnookums or are we like an actual leopard?
More like a leopard-ish, I guess. I mean, like feline. Maybe cat isn't quite the right word. I mean, I know like cat and feline are like kind of the same, but I feel like feline is more wild than cat, you know?
Oh!
They look kind of like
Hey.
dragons sometimes.
I just seen a picture of this shit.
Hold on.
Either way, Dan, I see the picture. It is quite fucking freaky.
See, I don't know, because I'm also seeing some on that same search results that are kind of cute, man.
Yeah, it can go either way, you know?
Fear factor, though, Nico. We got to get this fear factor out of the way.
Sure, I'm going to say fear factor a solid like 3.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
That's
All
fair.
right. I personally think that I dig this myth a lot. I think it's a pretty unique looking creature. Although, I'm going to be real. This could very readily be like some kind of mountain lynx or something like that people just fucked up. And, oh no, it's a dragon. I mean, probably not, especially in the Alps. It's too
How much
cold
fucking
for-
hooch are you on if you see a lynx and you're like, well, that's a dragon there, Billy Bob?
Well, you know, sometimes literally cats can slither like snakes. So
Snakes are not dragons, though.
snakes are just dragons without the wings.
I feel like we're missing a few parts of this equation here, compadre, but okay.
Hey, it is what it is. For me, it's a solid 6 on the fear factor for me, Dan.
Mm.
For you, Dan, out of curiosity, fear factor for you?
I'll put it at like a 5. I don't think it's particularly scary, but I don't know. If I ran into it, I might be a little freaked out. I don't know.
All right. Well, maybe this next tale will be titillating for you both.
Oh, no.
So I had to look into Afghanistan, and I looked for a creature that
There wasn't a gun to your head.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I had to look into Afghanistan. They made me do it.
What I found shocked me.
9 out of 10 dentists hate this one creature.
So this is a creature, or a demon, maybe better,
Uh-oh.
known by many names. Known as Al-Basti, Al-Musti, or sometimes
Ooh, Al Musty.
not quite, is a feminine demon or spirit that is known in Afghanistan, really by smaller Turkish communities in like the more remote regions of Afghanistan, as well as Turkey and other regions in Central Asia as well. And oh boy, where do I start? This creature has literal links going all the way back to ancient Sumeria. Over time and the locations, it changes, but it's known to have sharp claws that it can use to rend human flesh. Often misidentified as something sexual, probably because, you know, fucking demon misogynists out here want to call it
I'm
a
sorry,
succubus.
what?
Wait, claws are often mistaken as sexual?
Did I say that? Maybe I meant to say the creature is not sexual.
Yeah, you definitely were like, hey, I want to fuck those claws.
Some people do.
That's what you said.
But this monster is more a personification of guilt than anything else, and is often said to visit guilty people. So what does it do? Well, it induces fever, like psychological issues, and just generally fucks you up. It has a very special connection, though, to pregnant women. In some tellings, the creature can physically use its claws to rip up a fetus. Physically.
To riff up?
Rip.
Physically riff.
Hey, so what's the deal with airline food?
The demon haunts women in the 40 days after they've given birth, inducing the aforementioned fever, psychological issues.
In my head, the haunting is now just really bad stand-up.
Oh my God. It even goes further, though. And in some tellings, it's referred to as a demon of childbirth who blinds unborn children and causes miscarriages and stillbirths to women who have committed crimes that have gone unpunished. So guilt is surely a factor. I personally think this is something that could totally work for like a horror movie.
What's it look like?
Standard female demon X from what I could see.
Like, where are we with the wings, horns, skin, scaly, tail? Paint me a word picture, Picasso.
There's very limited drawings, surprisingly. One or two I've seen kind of made it look more monstrous, almost like an Oni looking kind of thing.
Okay.
But others kind of depict it as more humanoid. Just, imagine a demon from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay.
I gotta know, Dan, fear factor, where's this one rank for you? You feeling guilty at all?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably like a 7, but I think I might go for the Almussy.
Oh my God. Nico, are you afraid?
So this is a very crucial question.
Yeah.
Is this thing hot?
See, I'm not the only one.
Can be.
Okay.
Can be.
Then on that note, I'm probably going to say it depends, right? Like if we're talking something akin to like an old crone figure or like, I don't know, Mother Gothel or some shit, then probably not afraid is the right word. More repulsed, I guess.
Audience, I'm going to go ahead and there's 3 images that I'm going to show my fellow co-hosts.
What in the DeviantArt is this?
Okay, there's one of George fucking the dude from Seinfeld.
Of George fucking Seinfeld.
And then there's the fucking... Okay, so here we go. So, dear listener, there's an image here that looks like a kind of, almost like a forest spirit, which is cool. There's one of George from Seinfeld, which, okay. And then there's some kind of fucking demon that looks like it's the red DeviantArt image on the 3rd row, Dan. It's on fire. It looks quite fucking horrific. So, I guess you can go either way on this one.
Ew. Bro, what is it doing? Is it fingering
Hey, yo.
itself?
Hey,
It's definitely
yo.
fingering itself.
Hey,
It's
yo.
definitely fucking the bean.
All right. Anyways,
Okay, that's a solid 10 out of 10 right there. In terms of fear factor, let me see if I can do this justice. So, this
Oh
is
my
a
fucking God.
giant, like, weighty, hulking looking baby that is on fire with like saggy breasts, and it also looks like it might have some sort of external organ around its stomach. The face is like real tiny and just everything is wrinkly, and it has a fucking real redneck rat tail in the back for some reason, and also a tiny little yellow bow. It's just, and it's on fire. No. You're welcome.
with that great description here, Nico, are you going to go with the 10 for real on the fear factor?
We'll make it, because I don't know how big this thing is. If this is like a literal infant, then yeah, I
Human
can just
size.
pick him. But like if this is a scaled up, like someone did right click stretch on a baby, 10 out of 10 fear factor, yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of, I think it's time for you to tell us your tale, Nico.
So my story is that of the Strigoi, which is
Sugoi.
not really. It is actually one of the more influential myths that I think people don't quite realize. So, a lot of the sort of lore around vampires come from the Strigoi. So,
What region?
it is in Romania, and
Okay.
there's a lot to the Strigoi, so I'm going to try and do this justice as much as I can. But there are three different types. First off, there is a witch Strigoi, there's an undead Strigoi, and then there's an alive Strigoi. So those who are alive Strigoi are either doing something that is really immoral and sinful, like murdering people or just being some sort of general monster. But like, there are a whole bunch of ways where you can become a Strigoi, and most of them had to do with sin. And I think that is probably an influence of just Eastern Christianity to some extent. But regardless, some of the example ways that you can become a Strigoi are to, one, be the seventh child of the same sex in a family. Two, if you die by suicide. Three, if you just lead a life of general sin. Four, if you die without being married. And then another one is to die from a witch's curse. Now, for sake of transparency, I didn't look up what, like, 15th, 16th century definitions of Romanian witches are. So if there's an expert out there who can, like, give me any more specificity, chime in, I guess. But regardless, these are creatures who would often come back from the dead and suck on blood. They are much more violent than they are, like, sexy. And they're much more mindless in terms of sort of their intellect and agency. So it's a lot different from what we would commonly think of with, like, Dracula. And in terms of their appearance, they're a lot more like rat-like almost. They're naked and have a long, hairy tail, and I hate it when you both do that so very, very much. And one thing in particular that was really interesting about this was the first ever, like, written down case of, like, an actual person who was thought to be a vampire specifically, and also sort of by nature of extension in the time period of Strigoi, was a man known as Yuri Granda Alilovich in Istria. So just really cool reading about this sort of stuff.
So, Dan, given what we know about the Strigoi, what do you think about it? Fear factor?
I'd say like a 6. No, I'm gonna bump that up to 7 actually. The rat tail does it for me. I don't know why. That just, like, not that I find rat tails particularly freaky, but the rest of the description plus the rat tail, I don't know. And knowing that it's like sort of the origin of vampires and kind of thing, that's kind of cool. So I'm gonna say it's 7.
I'm right there with you. It's a 7 for me as well. I feel like they're obviously because they had such heavy influence on vampires, but I feel like that whole nobility thing is just not there.
Yeah.
So they're a lot
at all.
more voracious and ferocious. So I fuck heavy with that.
And knowing that you just, like, what if you're just like born, and on the day you're born, somebody's like, well, you're the 7th boy we've had, so you're fucked. Oh, gee, great, thanks.
There was another specific sort of prohibition or, like, I don't know, a warden against just having red hair.
Damn.
Yeah.
Literally just having red hair meant, like, oh, I guess you're a Strigoi. Sorry, bud.
Real talk. Real talk. So, given everything that we've heard here today, I've got to ask.
I would give it a 7 out of 10 as well on the fear factor.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Okay. Good.
Not really.
I was like, no, you weren't.
No, you weren't.
I want to ask the group as kind of a what would you do, right? So, is there a creature from the 3 that we've described that you think would fit best in a horror movie?
I could actually see the Tatzelwurm being a great horror comedy.
Really?
Like a really wacky sort of horror comedy, more like whimsical and, like, obviously fairy tale-esque. Like something like one of the various Hansel and Gretel movies that we've watched. I could totally see a Tatzelworm being like either in there as like an addition or the main subject of the scares.
And Dan, I should have changed the question. I guess, which of these would you like to see in a movie would be a better question. Because obviously any of these could be a movie. But which of these could you see in a movie, and how would you, what kind of movie would it be? So Nico's got the Tatzelworm comedy horror. How about you?
I mean, I'm gonna kind of harken back to something Nico said before, and I hope that's not like a cop out answer, but I think yours, the Al Mustry. I think you said?
Musty, okay.
Al Musty.
A little musty.
Oh my god.
As like a A24 joint.
Uh-huh.
I think that could work, or prestige horror, anyways.
For true.
I think that would work really well. I think Nico's would just be a really great one as well, but I think that its relation to the
Overdone.
vampire, it just makes it a little too done.
I will say this. So it goes literally by Al Musty, or like a couple other ones as well. It's got tons of names and tons of variations throughout. It was kind of tough to come with some real concrete shit. But I could totally see that as an A24 joint as well, especially with like some woman, she's gone through like this really tough either pregnancy or perhaps lost a child or something, and then she's convinced that Al Busty's after her, but in reality, here will be the best part: there is no monster. There is no monster.
Well, I mean, I was going to
It's
say,
all in her head.
It sounds like it's sort of a personification of like postpartum.
It is definitely linked to that. It is linked to that as well, and there's also that heavy guilt aspect as well. So there's a lot circling around there for true. But honestly, for me, I would love to see
You could do it before I wake, but sub out cancer for postpartum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Tatzelworm, but not how Nico's thinking about it in terms of like a comedy joint. I could almost see it as like a period piece almost, like taking it so we don't have all the modern tech and then going back in the days and having them, like some people trying to climb across the Alps, so they got to do something, but the Tatzelworm's attacking, Imagine almost like
King Kong, but with Tatzelworms.
I was going to say the Relic, but with Tatzelworms. Either way.
And then Godzilla shows up. And Neo's Closer starts playing.
Closer. But no.
Which do you think would be the hardest to defeat?
Probably Albusty, because I haven't heard of a single way to defeat it.
I can think of multiple ways to defeat Albusty.
Fuck you. All right. You know what? Strigoi seems pretty easy to defeat. And
I think Albusty would defeat me.
I hate you all.
I feel like I would be somehow spared by Albusty because, like, it's a postpartum, and then she would come and, like, get to know me, and she would realize somehow, through her demonic divining, oh, I see, you cannot provide children. You are safe from my wrath.
I mean, might just kill you anyways. Plus, if you're guilty about anything.
I mean, I got no regrets, man. Do you?
Yeah, plenty. Regrets?
It's been a while!
All right, well, I think it's time we wrap it up. And I will just say one last thing, which is, of the three, what's your favorite?
I have a particular fondness for the Strigoi because it is featured in a podcast that I like a lot.
Oh,
It is Monster Hour, and the first like enemy of their story is a Strigoi, and it was just really cool to see that in action.
Nice. I would say Albusty. I just think it's kind of unique and interesting and kind of scary and historical. Like you said, it goes back to Sumerian times, so it's got a lot of history to it,
yeah, there was even something that I read that said there was a kind of a casual link between that creature and then the idea of Lilith. So it goes back even then. But yeah, for me, it's got to be the Strigoi. I mean, literally, I love vampires, and that's kind of like one of the originating ideas of vampires, so had to choose it that way. But dear listener, we want to know your thoughts. What do you think about these creatures? Do you have any more information to add? Did we get something wrong? We being Justin. And Is there
Wow.
anything that you would recommend us to look into next time? We're totally down. Hit us on social media. We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. Plus, you can catch us on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. And you can get everything we've done on our website, which is dotdhorror.com. But till then, take care of one another.
Big up yourself.
Yes. Definitely try not to be the seventh son or anything.
Yeah, try real hard.
And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.